Well, greetings from ManageEngine Desktop Central. So welcome to the training of today, and we are going to discuss about the configurations. So please let me know whether you're able to hear my voice and view the presentation. Please do confirm by commenting on the chat. Thank you. Well, so this is the training schedule, and we are on the 5th week of this 7-week training schedule, and today we are going to discuss about the configurations. And I'm going to be your presenter for today's configuration. And here we go with the complete overview about what we're going to discuss today. So it's all about configurations, how to discover your machines from adding the domain, installing the agents, and what are the different methods to install the agent, how to manage the machines on LAN, WAN, and the roaming users, along with the USB device management, how to manage the secure USBs and the other configurations of similar to the Windows GPU policies. Followed by, we are going to discuss about real-time scenarios and how it could be arrested with a solution. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with the commonly asked questions with the details. So here we go with the, so Desktop Central, as you know, it's going to be a client and server model which supports the following operating system, what you see here for Microsoft Windows, Mac, and Linux. Just to quickly brush up about the architecture. So Desktop Central, it's a client and server model which is capable of managing machines on LAN, WAN, and the roaming user. So we're going to have a Desktop Central server in your head office, and machines which are going to be installed as its client will be termed as local office. In regard to the remote offices, so we can also manage the branch office, which is also called as remote office. So we can manage remote office machines, which helps you to manage the machines over the remote site. And it's recommended to have a distribution server if you're managing machines more than 10 to optimize your bandwidth, which we are going to discuss about in this configurations training. And followed by, we also have a direct connection, so where the clients can access the Desktop Central server directly. Apart from that, we have the mobile users, like the roaming user profile, like Salesforce. So those who are going to connect from out of office network with their home ISP or different ISP from hotel, airport, and wherever they are. So it also helps you to manage even those network. And Desktop Central handles with certain ports. So it requires certain ports, and these are the list of ports which is going to help you to make the communication between the agent to server and server to agent, and all other features what we have in Desktop Central, it's going to be handled with a set of ports. And let's talk about the 90 minutes refresh policy. So the agent to server communication happens in once in a 90 minutes refresh policy. So here you could see about the machines will connect to the server with the help of the port 8020 and 8383 in order to collect all the tasks which has been defined to the target machines. And this 90 minutes refresh policy is to ensure that your network activities are not affected and the network bandwidth is not choked during this communication. And to be more precise, let's take a quick instance of a network. So if we have a 90 machines network, so for every 90 minutes, one machine is going to come and contact the server. Similarly, if it is going to be of 900 machines, 10 machines is going to contact the server, and similarly for 9,000 machines, it's going to be 100 machines in contact with the server. So this will help you to get things streamed without affecting your regular routines in the network. Well, so today's first agenda about the agent installation. So we are going to discuss about how this could be installed on the LAN and what are the different methods and how we need to configure for WAN and similarly for roaming users. And finally, how to ensure that all new users all automatically get added to the agents. And So I'm going to take you to a quick scenario to make things easily understand in terms of a scenario. Like understand that this is my company infrastructure. So I've been the administrator and I'm provided with the task to go ahead with configuring the desktop central and creating a LAN, WAN, and roaming user office setup in order to manage my network. So we have the head office where it's going to be like Chicago. So we have the machines in Chicago with LAN. So machines managed over there, it's going to be with the LAN. And we also have a New York and San Francisco offices where New York has a large amount of machines where I'm going to use a distribution server model to help our network to be optimized with a bandwidth utilization. And the San Francisco is going to be with a limited office, like it's a less in numbers. So I'm going to manage using the direct communication. Apart from that, we do have some Salesforce where we want to manage the network using the mobile. So mobile users, in terms of laptop users, those are going to be across the nation and the globe. So I'm going to help you to manage everything for the company. And let me take you back to the product to show you how this could be handled. Fine. And here we go with the methods of installing the agents. So we have different methods of installing the agents. Agents to install from the console, download it manually and with a GPO policy. So I'm going to show you how this could be done. I'm taking you back to the product. So after installing the desktop central, I'm going to configure it now. I'm taking the admin tab in order to go access my domain, and scope of management is going to be the gateway of desktop central from where I'm going to add the domain and discover the AD objects. So I can access the scope of management directly from admin scope of management. Else I can also use this flash icon on the top right corner, which is a quick launch. I can directly go to the computers tab and I'm just going to add the computers. So here we go with the add the computers. So for the very first time, no information will be provided. I'm going to choose add domain. So this is the place where we are going to provide the Active Directory details. And desktop central is capable to manage even the different kind of network types like Active Directory, multiple Active Directory, work group, and multiple work group, and even the mixed network of Active Directory as well as the work groups. Fine. So in order to provide all the details, we have to specify the domain name, the domain username, and everything. So which we have already defined here, and you can see here. So we are providing the domain name and the credential. The credential which is specified here should be a domain admin account or an account which falls under the domain admin group. The reason because this account is going to help us to read your Active Directory, to list all the AD objects, so by which we are going to select which machine we want to manage and start the management process. And the second benefit of having this account is, using this account, we are going to install the agent on LAN and WAN silently to the target machines. And after providing all the details, we can make use of it. And similarly for the work group. So when you go to the work group, you can specify your work group name and the credentials. It would be better if you have a common admin account across the whole work group. If so, please provide the account. Else specify any admin account which falls under any of the work group machine and add it. Once it's done, so here it's going to discover the complete domain. So it's going to discover the complete domain tree where it shows all the OUs, groups, users, computers, and the domain controller. So I can go ahead, choose the machine, all the machines from my computer list, or I can also choose a specific OU, and I can also select the machines by expanding the icon. And this place, I just want to emphasize, the agent is going to be used only by the computer. So you need to install the agent only for the machines, not for the users. And we do have another option of choosing the machines by alphabetical order. You can choose the machines based upon the alphabetical order. So you can see about it's categorized according to the alphabetical order. You can go ahead, you can choose what machines you want to manage. And when you choose these machines, you can select the machine, and you also have an option of providing the machine name separated by comma. And here we go, the machines will be added in the right side. From here, we can push the agents right away. And let me show you by going down to the scope of management. So we were talking about of 3 different methods to install the agent. One is by pushing it from the console. So here we go. So I can select the machines and I can click on the install agent. So this is going to help us to install the agent to the target machine using the account which we have specified during the domain configuration part. And this account is going to help us to install the agent to the target machine. And behind the screen, it's going to copy the complete agent, MSI, and the batch file and all its associated file to your Windows temp folder of the target machine, from where it's going to install the agent silently and successfully. And when we are pushing these agents on a whole of machines, so we are going to take in a batch. So this process is called as a batch process. So we're going to take only 10 machines in a first batch and preparing to install the agent. And next moves on to the another 10 machines. Depends upon how many machines you have chosen. And you should also see that all these machines are having the complete connectivity to your admin share. So from the client, it should be enabled with the admin share. In case if the admin share or the file printer sharing as well as the AV which is available on the machine, if it is enabled, so this is going to help you to install the agent successfully. If the file and printer sharing is not enabled as well as the admin share is not enabled, so we may encounter the failure on the installation process, and that you could see about the error message along with the read KB. And when you go with the read knowledge base, we also provided the details about what is the reason it got failed and what is the cause and how it could be remediated. So all the informations are going to be furnished over here. Well, so now let's move on to the second method of agent installation process. So the second method of agent installation is going to be download it from the console. So you can see the Windows local agent. We can download this Windows local agent, save to a common share folder from where all the clients are accessible, and we can install the agent manually, or you can also export it to an external media like a pen drive, thumb drive, or a DVD, and you can install it, or you can also take an RDP and install the agent. So this is going to be a typical download method. And the third option of installing the agents is going to be with the Windows GPU method. So we have an option of installing the agents using the Windows GPU. So we provide you a startup script. So the instruction is going to help you out how to add the agent files, creating a computer group policy, and define it to the targets, which helps you to install the agent on the next reboot of the machine. So these are the 3 different things which is going to be managed for doing things on the LAN. So managing the machines on the local office network. Fine. So let's move on to the remote office management. So how to manage machines on the remote office. So for that, I'm just going to add a remote office. So specify the remote office name, and coming down, the desktop central server IP address followed by the ports which will be shown up. And here we have 2 different mode of communication which could be used, as you already mentioned at the beginning. So if you want to use the distribution server, so we recommend if you manage machines more than 10 in an office, then that's going to be used with the distribution server, and the objective is to help you to optimize your bandwidth. And if you're having machines less than 10 in a remote site, you can just go with the direct communication. A quick and simple example to make it more easy understandable for the distribution server and the direct communication, just to differentiate both things. So assume that in SFO I'm having 10 machines. All the 10 machines are managed using the direct communication. So meaning that all the 10 machines, though they are going to be under one title of SFO, but still all the 10 machines are going to contact the desktop central server separately. So here, when I'm trying to push a 5 MB of a patch or an application to the remote office, so this 5 MB of application or patch is going to get replicated to all those 10 machines separately. So here I'm going to use the bandwidth of 5 MB into 10 machines, so 50 MB of my bandwidth is going to be used. Well, so in the same SFO, now I'm deploying the distribution server model. And again, I'm in need of pushing a 5 MB of an application. So I'm going to push the 5 MB of application. Now this 5 MB is going to get replicated to only one machine, which is acting as a distribution server. So eventually, we are saving 45 MB of the bandwidth. So when it is going to be a distribution server model, declare the machine name which is going to act as a distribution server. So all the details has to be specified here. And we don't need any specific hardware or a software to be managed for the distribution server machine. A normal workstation or a desktop which is lying on the other side of the remote office is capable to act as a distribution server. Coming down, furnish all those details. The ports, these are the ports by which the agents are going to communicate and collect all the tasks from the distribution server in the corresponding network. And for every 2 minutes of time, your distribution server is going to communicate or to have a handshake with the desktop central main server. And we also have a data transfer limitations. So if we want to manage the machines only using a limited bandwidth, yes, we can choose accordingly. And all the transactions to the remote office is going to happen with the selected bandwidth type. Coming down, if you want to enable the secure mode, you can use the secure mode, which is going to act with 8384 port. And if your network is used with the help of a proxy, please provide the proxy details, else remove it. We have a dedicated remote control settings from where we can choose the remote control options. So we have two options like best and fast. The details are provided here and in the help card along with the color quality. So we can also choose the color quality in order to manage, and how much down the color quality is chosen, that much fast the rendering would be available on the remote office during the remote control process. Fine. So now it's time to add the machines. I'm going and selecting the machines. I can choose the machines which are going to be managed in the remote office. I can also add the machines provided from here, and the machines will be added. If at all the machines are not discovered, or if you want to add the machines, we may also go and choose the alternate method of example CSV. So open a notepad file, provide all the machine names, including your distribution server, save it as a CSV and import it, and that's going to furnish the details over here, and by which we have added. Now let's move on to the automatic installation of the files. So if it is going to be the distribution server and WAN agent, you may choose this option. Select the credentials, or else you can also add a credentials. So I'm just going to add a credentials in terms of SFO admin, choosing my domain, specifying the domain credentials. Ensure that the domain credential what you specify should be capable to, or it should be having an admin privilege on the remote office side. So using this credential, we'll be able to help to install the agents silently, including the distribution server and agent will be installed on the target machines, and it will be managed. So once it's managed, you can see about the details. So this is how it's going to be managed. Well, so this is about of managing machines on the LAN. And even if you want to go back and modify any actions, you can just go back and modify the office details. Whatever you want, you can just choose and make changes from the edit option. And this is about of managing machines on the LAN and WAN. And let's move on to the roaming user profile. So how we are going to manage a roaming users. So we're going to create a roaming users, and this roaming user is going to be managed with the help of the public IP. So your local IP may not help us. So please provide your public IP or a fully qualified domain name. So either one has to be specified with a proper NAT settings with a firewall. So once it's configured, coming down, all the roaming users has to be under the direct communication. The reason, it's logically the machine is not going to be in your network. It's going to be across the different locations scattered. And it is obviously going to be out of office. So we may not know the machine is up or down or to which ISP it is connected. So for that reason, please provide the public IP or fully qualified domain name and choose the direct communication. And coming down, you may also use the machine names to add. So you can just add the machine names. And we may not be able to install the agent automatically because the machine is completely out of office network. So we cannot push. So we are just going to add the roaming user. And once it's added, it will be shown over here. You can see. So we have the roaming users. Now we need to download this WAN agent. So as an administrator, I have to download this WAN agent and upload it to my FTP or a cloud drive, which is going to be accessible across the globe. I'm going to draft steps how to install the agent, and I'm going to send this information to my users. The information is going to be like providing the link to download the roaming user setup file, the WAN agents. Once it's downloaded, then extract that folder. It'll be shown with a list of files, and we also have a setup.batch file. So open a command prompt using run as administrator and navigate to the location where this folder is downloaded, invoke the setup.batch file, and that gives two menus. Like one is going to be install the agent, the other menu is going to be exit. So pressing 1 and hitting enter will help us to install the agent, and this is going to be a one-time effort. Once the agent is installed successfully, since then the machines are going to contact the server using the public IP. So once it reaches your office firewall, the firewall is going to route the traffic to the local desktop central server IP. Since then, the communication starts, and you can start manage the machines. So these are the three different methods to manage the machines. And moving forward, I just want to quickly show up about the IP scope. So far we have added the domain, configure the network for LAN, WAN, and the roaming user. So we are going on good pace. Now I just want to create an IP scope setup. And this IP scope is not mandatory, but still creating the IP scope helps us in two different benefits. Number one, so when we are creating an IP range, choosing the remote offices, and once it's added, for example, I'm having a user in New York who's going to travel all the way to San Francisco for a business purpose, for a short-term project purpose. So when the user is going away from the New York office to San Francisco, the New York office machine, once it's out of the office network, then the machine is going to be completely isolated. So any configuration which I'm going to push across to New York is not going to get received because the machine is completely out of office. So only if the machine rejoins the network of New York, then the configurations are going to get applied. So to avoid the situation, we can use this IP scope. So this is the first benefit. We are going to help the machine to get all the configurations. So when the user comes to the San Francisco and logs into the network, the machine is going to get adapted to the IP which falls under the range. So any configuration which I'm going to push across to all the remote office or the complete domain, that's going to get applied to the machine, which is also part of the New York machine. So that machine is completely managed, and especially the machine is not prone for any vulnerabilities or threat in terms of patch management. Well, the second benefit, so when I'm trying to install all the agent from the computers tab, and I'm just pushing all the agents, even I'm installing it locally because some of the remote offices may also be connected using a MPLS line with a tunnel-to-tunnel VPN. So in such condition, it's going to be part of the same LAN. But however, we want to differentiate based upon the locations. So in such conditions, if you create an IP range, automatically the machines which are under this IP range will start reporting to the remote office of specific office. So that's how it's going to help you to manage the network with a easy, and it's going to be very legible for you to understand like what machines falls under which location. So this is all about managing machines on the IP scope. Well, so we were talking about the other scenario of ensuring all new users are automatically managed. So what does it mean of ensuring all new users are automatically managed? Well, so now I'm completely done with my settings. All the machines are managed. I am good to go with all kind of configurations, and everything is in a good shape now. Well, my company is now procuring another 50 machines to the network. Again, I've been requested to start adding these machines in order to manage. I cannot go back and add the machines using the computer tab, add domain, select the machines. I don't want to do that. It's something which is an unproductive activity for me. So I just want to make things more automatic. And Desktop Central facilitates the automation process under the scope of management policy. So come down to the scope of management policy and use this AD sync settings. So this AD sync settings will give you an opportunity to add the machine name. Provide your email address by configuring your mail server settings. Choose the domain or OU where you want to apply the operation. The operation is nothing but any new machine which comes inside the domain is going to get automatically installed with the agent. And AD machine which is getting removed from your AD will automatically remove from the Desktop Central managed list. So choose the options of which domain or OU you want to use, and this synchronization is going to take place on every day. So Desktop Central is going to synchronize with your Active Directory on everyday basis. So please provide a time in order to make it happen. And here we go with the feature 1. So any new machine which is coming inside the Active Directory for the very first time, after the next synchronization, Desktop Central is going to notify me if I'm having this option. So this notify me will help me to get a mail, a notification mail. I can go check. I can decide whether I want to manage this machine or not. So for that, the notification is going to help. If interested in managing machines, any machine which comes inside the domain I want to manage, if that is the requirement, use the install agent and notify me. So this helps you to automatically install the agent and notifies. Similarly, I also have another option of deleting the inactive computers. So when I'm removing some machines from the AD, it is completely removed, and the same machines are also managed in my Desktop Central. So if a machine is removed from the AD and there is no logic of managing that machine from Desktop Central, so that's going to be a stale computer. So I cannot manage the machine anymore, but still the machine is listed in my managed list of Desktop Central. So in such conditions, I can remove that machines, and that helps me to relax the license of that machine. And this license is going to help me to manage any new machines in future. So for that reason, choose notify me to get it notified, and you can go and remove it manually from the Computers tab. You have an option of selecting a machine and removing it from here. So that's removes the machine. Else, choose this option of automatically remove the machine. So this automatically removes and notifies you. Well, now coming down to the next feature set. Any machine which is not in contact with Desktop Central server. So there are some chances even you might encounter, like when you push some applications or configurations or patches anything to the target machine, if the machine is not getting the configuration succeeded or executed, so we may not know whether the machine is in contact or not. So this would help us to understand whether the machine is in contact or not. So Desktop Central periodically just checks about the machine status, because as you know, once in 90 minutes, the machine is going to contact the server for a handshake. So that last contact time is going to get logged into the Desktop Central. So based on that, if any machine which is not in contact with Desktop Central server past 3 days or X number of days, so I'm going to get a notification saying that, hey, these machines are not in contact. So I can start my investigation to find the reason why the machine is not in contact. The other side is going to be, in my company, I don't want to manage any machines which is not in contact with the Desktop Central server for more than 90 days, like 3 months. So if that is the condition, if any machine which is not in contact, so that is going to get automatically removed from the managed list. And even if I want to manage any machine which is removed in future, I can again add the agent, bring back to the managed list. So this is about a scope of management policy. Well, so the policy is going to help me when a new machine is going to come in. Well, so there is another scenario here. So think of it like, now we are going to sync with the database, like with Active Directory, and get all the informations. So what happens if I have an assignment of immediately install the agent and manage the machine? Like, I don't have any time. I got a machine right away, and I've been requested to install the agent and provide the machine to the user who's going to travel by this evening to New York. So I cannot wait for the machine to reflect under the AD for the next day. So in that condition, I just want to use on-demand activities. So I'm going to go here, select the sync call method. This performs the complete Active Directory synchronization from the deep bottom of the Active Directory all the AD objects, it's going to be shown up here. So that's going to happen for the very first time. And since then, you can go with the sync only modifier. So that's going to fetch only the differential data, which are recently happened with the last sync. So this option will help me. So if a machine is added to the AD, I can do a sync only modified, get the machine, and once I can see all the machines, I can select this machine, I can quickly install the agent, and I can hand over the machine to the user to carry on with this operation. So this is going to help me to do things right away. And even if I want to remove any machine, yes, I can go ahead, I can select deleted computers. Any machine which was removed from the AD is going to be reflecting here. I can select and remove. And even if I don't want to manage any machines, So two machines are added, but I've been requested to manage only this machine, not this one. So I can select this machine. I can exclude the machine from the managed list of desktop central. So this will be completely excluded, and it will be put inside the excluded list, where you would be able to see all the machines which is not added in the network. So it will be completely excluded. So I can just go ahead and exclude it. And when I come over here, I can see the excluded machine. So this machine will no longer be managed in the managed list of desktop central. Fine. And finally, we are coming down to the scope of management settings. The settings is going to help us to automatically install the agent. So remember, we were talking about of pushing the agents from the console. So when I'm selecting these machines and pushing it from the console in my LAN, I cannot assure that all the machines are going to get the agent installed, because there might be some machines which is not turned on, or some other challenges might be with the machine, like the network card is not connected, or any kind of hardware issues or anything, something like that. So in such conditions, I can rectify those settings about the hardware issues or the network issues. And even if the machine is down, when the machine comes back by tomorrow morning, so I just want to install the agent again onto the machine. So again, it's going to be an unproductive action for me to go search for the machine and install the agent. So for that, I'm going to use the retry the agent installation and the distribution installation process with a given frequency. And I can provide my email address. So it's going to try the process based on the given frequency, and it's going to notify me about the status. Fine. So this is all about of managing machines on the LAN, WAN, and for the roaming users. So if you have any questions, I would recommend you to please raise it through the chat, and we have an expert panel simultaneously addressing your chats. Fine. So let's move on to the next module of configurations. So configurations, it's similar to the Windows GPU policies, but this configurations, what we have is completely tweaked with the help of registry. And now we are going to see how to configure a printer for a new user, and how to configure a printer for a whole department, and the baseline configuration, the base configurations. What are the configuration needs to be? A baseline configuration across the domain, and using configuration templates to secure the desktop. So these are the things which we are going to discuss now. So let's quickly jump into the product to see where it is available and how we can benefit. I'm taking you back to the configurations. In the configurations, you should be able to see a list of configurations which has been created and defined for the target machines. And all the configurations are shown by here. You can select the configuration by all and created by me. The created by me will show you about the administrator by which we have logged in. And the created by all will show all the configurations here. And you can also see about the configuration name which you have defined along with the status. So the ready to execute will help you to know about it started. The configuration has been created and it's about to get deployed. And executed is going to be a completely executed, and you can see the status of the executed, with which machine this configuration was applied and what is that configuration all about, and the summary details about the configuration. So those informations are going to be shown over here. And for the rest of the status, I would recommend you to just please refer the help card, which is down below the same way. You can see all the details about the configuration setup. So I'm taking you back to the configuration, and I'm going to create a configuration. So we have a long list of configurations here, as you could see. So we have a configuration for user and for a computer. So we have some configurations for users and computers. So what is mean by user? What is mean by computer? A configuration which is defined for a user is going to be applied only onto that user profile when the user is available on the network. And this configuration will be applied only for that specific user. The other advantage of this configurations is, if I'm applying a configuration to a user called Mark for IP printer, for example, so if I'm applying this configuration to user Mark, and Mark is sitting on machine A now, so when I apply this configuration is going to get applied. When the user is moving on to the different machine, by coming next day, the user is logging into machine B. Even at that time, when the machine is getting logged on, so during the user logon process, agent will contact the server and identify what kind of configuration has been applied to this user, and the same configuration will be applied on even machine B. So meaning that agent has the intelligence to identify the configurations, and based on that, all the machines, like this user will be having the configuration applied to any machine the user is going to access inside the domain. And computer configuration. So what does it mean by computer configuration? Computer configuration is all about applying the configuration using a system account on the whole machine. So any user who logs in should be seeing the configuration which has been applied. So we have a long list of configuration here, and it will take more time if I'm going to explain everything. So let me quickly touch base what is what. So display, if you want to keep a common wallpaper screensaver, you can use this display for user. And if you want to make changes on the display settings, you can go with the computer. And we have browser settings where you can make a common home page, search page, download directory, and even you can restrict certain websites for any users for IE, Chrome, and Firefox. And we have a registry tweak. We can make use of user registry as well as the computer registry, which is going to be HKey current user, and it's going to be the local machine. And we have services could be tweaked, and the Wi-Fi settings, followed by the common folder redirections, and a secure USB, a custom script where you can go ahead and create the scripts based upon your choice. And you can see about the configurations here. We have given you a script where you can go choose the script according to your choice and execute it. And we have also given you a script repository. You can go to the script repository. We have given more than 100 plus predefined template scripts. So you can go and you can run a search. These scripts are entitled with the batch file, the PowerShells, the executable, and the VBS file. So anything, if you want to go quickly run a check, you can run a quick search with a string and you can get the details, and you can just add it to the repository, and that will be added to the repository, and then you can go ahead, start creating a configuration right away from here. So you can make use of these configurations for the scripts, which could be used for user and computer. And we have a file folder operation which helps you to copy, move, rename, and delete the configurations. And we also have the security policies where you can apply the security policies according to your choice for the users. You can restrict the users from the given parameters. And this configuration is also for the computer management, like for user as well as the computer. So we have a lot of configuration which is going to help you. By the way, today's topic about configuration is going to apply a user configuration for an IP printer. I'm just going to use the user printer. So specify the configuration name, and I've already created a configurations over here. So I'm just going to use the configuration in order to save much time. So I don't want to take up much time of creating a new configuration. So for example, I'm going to use this option to even filter what kind of configuration I have. So I'm selecting the IP printer. So all the IP printer configurations are going to be shown over here. And I'm going to discuss about the IP printer for the new user who has been come into my company, and I want to assign him a printer permission. So specify the name of the printer, the configuration, specify the configuration name, provide the descriptions. Coming down, provide the print server where it is available, and the primary printer name, the name of the printer, how it's displayed. And even if the user has any other printer, we can override if the printer already exists in the machine and choose the protocol accordingly and provide the port number and the port name, and here we go. So the IP printer is nothing but, so we are going to provide this printer with the permission to get use the printer for all kind of printing requirements. For that, we need to install the print drivers. So either we can select the print drivers from any specific machine provided with the machine name, or if you have a print server, you can also point to that. And since we have a print server, I'm just pointing it, and we can make it as a default printer. By taking this option, now I'm going to choose the domain. So we have a complete domain, and it also shows all the remote offices. So we can even choose the remote offices accordingly if it has to be defined only for a specific remote office. And I've chosen the group and the whole domain, followed by we have different kind of target places. So we can define the target to a remote office, any specific remote office, or to a site, OU, group, or a user, and custom group. A custom group, which is nothing but a kind of a title or grouping in which we can add a list of users or computers to manage. An IP address or IP range, processor architecture like 3264-bit, or even if I want to deploy this for any configuration for the computers, yes, I can do that for the computers as well as the machine types. I mean the operating system as well as the machine types. But however, now our requirement is all about of the user. So I'm just going to use for Mark. So I'm choosing this configuration. Coming down, I can apply this configuration at every logon. Since I'm already mentioned, there's going to be a registry kind of tweak. So if any changes happen to the configuration after the logon process, again on the next logon, the same configuration is going to get applied. And we can retry the configuration in case if it is getting failed. And we have given you a probability of 10 chances to choose, and you may choose according to your choice. And we can also get notified about the status. So after creating a configuration, we may not be having a time to go check what is the status, but it will get notified to us by provided with this option. So this will help me to notify about the configuration. Well, so once I click deploy, it's going to help me to deploy the configuration once the agent is logged into the machine, and it contacts the server and helps to apply the configuration. Similarly, I can also save it as a draft. I can save this configuration as a draft. I can execute it at the time when I want to do that in future. So by which I have applied the configuration for the new user. So this is how we are going to apply it for the new user. Well, after applying it for the new user, I also want to apply the same configuration for machines or for a department. Let's say that we are going to configure a printer for a department, which is a group of computers, which I already created. So here we go. So the configurations which I'm going to choose is going to be the same IP printer, and the configuration which I have already created is for a computer. So when it comes for the department, I can do it for users and computers. Since we already discussed about the user, I'm just going to show you how a computer configuration is going to be. And I can go down here, use this option. Because this configuration has been executed, I'm going to use the same configuration for another set of machines which falls under a department. I can make use of this option to modify the configuration. I can even suspend the task. So if I create a configuration and deploy to the target machines, if I'm going to suspend the task, any machine which did not pick up the task will get suspended. And the agents which came and picked up the task about this configuration cannot be suspended. And we can also move it to the trash. Once the configuration is successfully deployed, you don't want to have this over here. You can just move it to the trash, which is something like a archive where it stores all the previous configurations. And now what I'm going to do is save as new, which is something like a cloning process. I'm going to clone the same configuration for my department because this configuration has been already created and I'm using without target. So the same configuration is going to be provided, and it provides a suffix of copy just to refer that this is a save as new configuration. So I'm just going to provide it as a department. Coming down, I'm not going to change anything because everything has been already provided over here. And I also have a credential to access the shared network printer in case if there is no permission, especially for the machines. So provide the admin account and the password. Coming down, you can see here, the target is completely blank. So I can go ahead, I can choose any of the remote office or the whole domain, and I'm going to use the custom group where I'm going to use this printer configuration for my marketing team. And there we go. I can again apply this configuration at every startup. So during the startup of the machine, this configuration will get applied in case if anything has been changed, and retry the configurations on failed targets and the same notifications through the email. And now you could see deploy. The deploy, which we already discussed, it's going to help us to deploy the configuration on the next contact of the agent. So for all computer configuration, we also have something called deploy immediately. And this deploy immediately is going to help us to deploy the task swiftly compared to the normal 90 minutes of refresh policy. And this is going to happen with the help of a notification server. So we have a technology called notification server, which is going to listen to the port 8027. The agents are going to listen to this port, and when we are defining any target machine, if that machine falls under this target, so that machine will be notified and the machine will come and pick the task and get the configurations applied onto the machine successfully. So this process helps us to swiftly install the configurations. So this is about installing the configurations. Now let's go and check about the baseline configurations. So we have a baseline configurations where we are going to add that configurations accordingly. So that configuration is going to help us to select a set of configurations like criteria. For example, it is going to be with a Wi-Fi, a printer, and some settings. So I'm just going to show you how this is going to be a baseline configuration. So here we go. So I'm going to use the configurations. Go to the configurations. We have a collections. From the collections, we can create multiple configurations in a one single task for user and computer. So you could see here, this is how it looks. When I click on the configuration, it's going to show up with the list. So here, I'm going to change the wallpaper. I want to have a common wallpaper in all my users' machine. And I want to have my settings. I want to have my settings with, for example, I can just show you the wallpaper. I want to have a common wallpaper, a screensaver, and I want to have a drive mapping for a specific drive where all the resources are shared so that you can make use of it, and a browser settings in order to make a common home page and search page, and a Wi-Fi settings. So these are the common settings which we create and define for all the machines in the whole domain. So I can go down here, I can choose the whole domain, I can add it. So likewise, I can make use of this base configurations. Fine. So this is all about managing machines for applying the configuration. So if you have any questions in the configurations, I would recommend you to please go and check with the chat, and you can just raise your queries. So let's move on to the next configuration of USB device management. So we're going to discuss about how to secure the USB drives and how to exclude a specific group to access the USB drives, and to ensure that managers use the encrypted device, like any of the users want to use the encrypted device. So I'm going to take you back again to the same configurations, and we have the secure USB. This secure USB is going to help us to apply the configuration for both users and computers. So I'm just going to the computer tab. So I have an audit. Let's make a scenario here. So I have an audit here, the security audit, so by which all my pen drives, thumb drives, external hard drives has to be completely blocked in my network for the audit purpose. So I'm going to use this secure USB for computers to apply this on overall machine. So we have different type of device types. So logically, when you're blocking a complete USB port, it's going to disable all the device types, whether it's going to be a pen drive, or it's going to be a mouse, a CD-ROM, external CD-ROM, or a keyboard, or whatever it is. So there is no logic. I mean, there is no kind of benefit for us to block the whole drive. So we will not be able to access any of the specific devices. So we have defined the specific devices, and we have given a option to block those specific devices according to your choice. So I'm just going to take this disk drive, and you can see the disk drive comprises with all the USB drives, external hard drive, virtual drives, and the thumb drives and external hard drive. So I'm selecting it as a block. I'm going to just apply this for the whole domain. There we go, it's applied. So when I click on deploy immediately, it's going to get deployed, and none of the users or the computers are going to get access with the secure USB. Now, I want to provide permission to my managers to access. I can come down here, I can choose the parameters, and since I already created a group, I'm just going down here. I'm selecting my top management folks to get allowed using this pen drive or thumb drive, whatever they want, they can use it. Well, on top of it, as an administrator, I have some critical servers where I need to take a backup of the data on everyday basis. And even I cannot access the external hard drive. In such condition, Desktop Central facilitates in special cases like going and adding a device instance ID. So I'm going to add my 4 TB Seagate hard drive, which I'm going to use for the backup process. So I'm going to use this Seagate hard drive's device instance ID, which is nothing but the hardware ID. And in order to find where we can fetch this hardware ID, we have given you an option of learn more, by which you can go and get the information. We have a pictorial graph to fetch the details, and this is going to be the hardware instance ID. So I'm going to select provide the hardware instance ID and add it. That's it. I will be allowed to access the whole domain. And even I can also go and provide access for all the encrypted device. And even if the company is providing a specific vendor-based device to all the users, yes, we can also add that instance ID for that vendor, and we can allow so that vendor-based device alone will be accessed. So these are all the settings which is provided to block it. So once the security audit is completed, I just want to revert everything back to square one. So I cannot keep it as it is because the security audit is completed. So I don't need to go create another configuration. It's very simple. I just click on with a remove and select a single click to revert everything back to square one. And one quick information about this configurations, it's for commonly all configurations. Whenever you create any configuration, please modify the configuration to revoke it or create another configuration to make changes. Do not delete any configuration. So deleting the configuration will not help us to remove the settings. Fine. So that's all about the configurations, and if you have any questions, please raise it across. And now we are moving on to the next module of scenarios and solutions. Well, so we rely completely on Desktop Central for our system management, and we cannot afford the downtime. So we rely completely on Desktop Central for system management and cannot afford the downtime. So what should we do? So we have a concept called failover server architecture. So the failover server architecture is going to have the same set of Desktop Central, which is going to parallelly run on the network simultaneously. And the basic requirement of this failover server is the machine should be having a static IP, and the machine should be having its database as external, like MS SQL, all its storage, like the patch store and software repository should be completely out of the specific Desktop Central server machine. So if primary server and secondary server, so this assume that this is the failover server, which is going to function simultaneously using the virtual IP. And when any mishap occurs for the primary server, the secondary server will take over and start resuming the process. And once we make ready with the primary server and now it's back on track, then the primary server will become the secondary server as a failover. Well, scenario 2, we have thousands of configuration Desktop Central and it has become unmanageable. Is there a way out? Yes, of course. So you have a lot of configurations here, and if you want to see where the configuration is available, so we have given you an option to choose the configurations based upon the modules, like the configuration type. So any configuration you want. So I have done with the display. Yeah, you can just go and click. You can go with the display, and you can get things done immediately. And we also have a configuration settings. So any machine which you're adding to any kind of a group, OU, domain, the configurations which was applied will be applied to the newly added machine also. irrespective of the Windows configuration or patch management or software deployment, anything which has been applied, it will get added to the newly added machine, and you can configure it according to the choice. And the old configurations can also be trashed according to your choice. Fine. So some of our computers go unmanaged quite often. Is there a way to fix this? Yeah, you have an option of going down to the admin tab. So unmanaged in the sense, if a user has a permission to uninstall the agent, like any application, obviously user is going to uninstall the agent. So to prevent this, please come to the admin tab and select the agent settings and restrict uninstalling from control panel and also stopping the agent services. So this will help you to show the agent available in the control panel, but it will not provide you an option to uninstall. And similarly, even if he could not, the user could not uninstall, if a user is more techie, user can go and disable the services of the agent, which is mere to uninstalling the agent. So even we can restrict that from admin tab, agent settings. Scenario 4, make sure your users recognize the application. Fine. So we have an option of making it by rebranding. So we have something called rebranding. So you can go ahead, you can rebrand the agent logo. So agent logo is going to be by default the desktop central icon. So if you're having your own company logo, you can rebrand it, and the rebranded agent logo will look like this. So you can rebrand it, and even for any kind of notifications, they'll be getting the notifications with the help of the rebranded logo. So this helps to understand the product is, something has been alerted from the management. Scenario 4, all of our users should be able to easily access our common shared folders for clipboards and design files. How can I achieve this? So this could be achieved by going down to the same configuration, and you have an option of drive mapping. So you can use the drive mapping in order to share the folders. I want Desktop Central to use the available system resources effectively for improved performance. What should I do? So I want to manage Desktop Central's performance more effectively, which is going to be bound to the Desktop Central process alone. So for that purpose, please go to the admin, and you have a server settings. You can go with the admin tab, and we have a DB optimization. So where you can provide the percentage of your memory, which could be allocated especially for the activities of Desktop Central. Scenario 7, I need to get information about an asset even when I'm away from my desk. Is this possible? Yes, of course. By going down to the admin tab, you can see mobile app. So when you go inside the admin tab, you can see a mobile app. So even if you're away from your office, for some of the reasons you're away from office and you do not carry any laptop, and you don't have any provision to go quickly check with any of the machines available, but you have your smartphones. So please make use of your smartphone, whether it's going to be an iOS or Android. So use this QR code, download and configure it, which is provided, and where you can see the informations about your patch management and the status of the patch management and the remote control settings, where you can also allow to take remote of the machine with the help. Fine. So I want to restrict the technician to only access the asset data. How can I do this? Yes, we can go ahead, use the option of admin tab under the user administration, where we can create a new user, and that user can be provided mapped to the local admin or to your AD. Choose the administrator, select the role like asset manager, and even provide the permission whether the user should access all the machines or a static unique. A static unique is nothing but a custom group. So in custom group, we can create different kind of groups, and this static custom group will help you to create a group for the given domain for users and computers for all kind of a configuration. Similarly, the static unique will help you to manage these users only for the user administration purpose. And similarly, you also have a dynamic custom group, which helps you to create a group based upon the given criteria. For example, if you want to create a group based upon all the operating system, yes, we can create a group. Similarly, we can also create by the user for the machines. Okay, due to some business reasons, we are unable to host Desktop Central server in our own network. Is there any alternate solution? Yes, definitely. So as you know, Desktop Central is a on-premises application. If you'd like to host it to the cloud, so we offer two different options to make use of it. So one is going to be the AWS with the Amazon Marketplace, and which helps you to provide all the details about how to manage the machines in AWS. And you also have the option of going down to another way like Windows Azure. You can also go use this Windows Azure installation method, which could be helpful for you. Fine. Well, so now moving on to the next things are questions. So does Desktop Central allow you to block USB devices for particular IP range? Yes, of course. We can go ahead and we can disable the IP range for a specific devices. We have the configurations. You can go to the configurations, choosing the user or computer, and you can select a domain or an OU, and you have an option of IP ranges. You can make use of the IP range. Can website security certificates be deployed to workstations and to multiple browsers? Yes, it could be done for multiple browsers. By going down to the admin, we have the option of configuring the SSL certificate. So you can just import the SSL certificates for your browser settings and you can secure it. Some keyboards and monitors have embedded USB ports. Will those ports also be blocked despite having the keyboard and mouse option excluded from the block? Yes, of course. See, if a keyboard or mouse, wherever the USB is there, so it's going to be a mass USB storage, which will be having the option, because we are trying to block only a definite device type. So whatever the ports is going to be with plugged in, it's going to be an embedded in the machine, or it's going to be an external in the keyboard. Still, we are able to block the USB devices based upon the device type. Can the 90 minutes refresh policy be changed? Like talking about the Desktop Central 90 minutes refresh policy, the agent to server communication. So as we already discussed, the 90 minutes refresh policy is to help you to make the network smooth without affecting any action or any impact on your other routines in the network. So it's always recommended to have 90 minutes refresh policy. However, if you want anything to be applied immediately, you can just make use of the apply configurations. Deploy immediately option. When does the configuration gets deleted? Is it based on the status of the configurations? Well, so you can just go here, choose the configuration settings, which I've already showed you. You can make use of this configuration settings, by which you can define when you want to remove the configuration. So these configurations are going to be inside your trash, where you can see all the configurations over here. So you can see the trash. All the configuration will be moved to the trash, and from here you can delete the configuration if you want, and you can also restore the configuration back to the normal configuration view. So if you configure a set of restricted sites in the collection wizard but don't select a web browser, does the restriction apply to their default web browser or all the web browsers? So it will be applied only to the specific web browser where you're selecting the restrictions, not to the default web browser. Question number 7, is it required to move the distribution server to edge for public communication? Yes, if you want to move the distribution server to the public, yes, we can do that. So by which we can manage the network accordingly. For example, so going down to the remote office, assume that in a remote office, so we have a distribution server and one specific user is very often traveling across the locations. So for that purpose, we can provide the distribution server model using a fully qualified domain name. So when you provide a fully qualified domain name, that distribution server is going to be in the cloud. So that is going to facilitate the users inside the remote office under the distribution server, and even the same user who goes even out of the remote office. Well, that's all. We are come to the end of the training on configurations. So trust the session was helpful to get details about the configurations. So it's time to feed us back. So please rate us on the scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is going to be the best. Similarly, just spread a word by adding the tags to your social media. And the schedule for the next training is going to happen by next Wednesday of the same time. And thank you very much for your active participation. And if you have any questions or any kind of clarifications, do please chat with us or send us a mail to our support in order to help you. And we are here to help and glad to do that for you. Once again, thanks a lot for your active participation, and you all have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.